Hey everyone, it's Daniel here. Before we get into today's episode, just want to give you a quick reminder that I will be hosting a giveaway for the podcast soon. The podcast is turning one in June. It's turning one in June on June the 13th, and I'm excited to do a giveaway to celebrate the 1 year anniversary of the show. I did a short episode about the giveaway, detailing everything, and there'll also be some details in the description of today's episode about the giveaway. But just to quickly give you some details about how you can enter and what it's for, I'm partnering with the Isaiah 117 House for this giveaway. If you are not aware, the Isaiah 117 House is a Tennessee-based nonprofit organization that provides physical and emotional support in a safe and loving home for children awaiting foster care placement. They have locations all across the Southeast United States, and they're a really, really great organization, and so I'm excited to have this opportunity to partner with them. If you want to enter the giveaway, all you have to do is make a donation to the Isaiah 117 House through Venmo. You can make your donation in $5 increments. So if you make a $5 donation, that will be one submission into the giveaway. A $10 donation will be two submissions, and so on and so forth. The winner of the giveaway will be announced on Monday, June the 12th, and they will receive the first ever Radio Face t-shirt, the first ever Radio Face sticker, and a $50 Visa gift card, all given to you, shipped straight to you. So again, you can make as many entries as you like. All proceeds will go directly to the Isaiah 117 House. None of this will be coming back to me, so I really hope you take this opportunity to support this great organization, all the great work they're doing. If you don't have, to make a donation, you'll need to do it through Venmo. So if you don't have a Venmo account, you can download it for free on your phone, hook up your bank account, and then make a donation to the Chambliss Center, which handles all the finances for the Isaiah 117 House. The handle for the Chambliss Center on Venmo is at ChamblissCenter. That's where you can find them on Venmo. And whenever you make this donation to enter the giveaway, just make a note with your donation, just distinguishing that this is for the giveaway. So you can make a note saying Radio Face Podcast. You can make a note that just says podcast. You can make a note that says giveaway, anything along those lines that denotes that you are making this donation to the Isaiah 117 House for this giveaway. As I said, the winner will be announced on Monday, June the 12th, so you've got a lot of time to enter this giveaway, and I'm really excited to partner with the Isaiah 117 House and raise some money for a great cause. Thank you all for all the support you've given me over this year so far, and I'm excited for year number 2. Thank you for the Isaiah 117 House for partnering with me, and I'm really excited to take this opportunity to help out a great organization. There'll be some more details about this down in the description, so if you'd like to learn more, head down there to the description, check everything out down there for more details, and if you have any questions about the giveaway, feel free to reach out to me on social media at radiofacepod on all social media platforms, or simply go to... or simply email me at radiofacepod@gmail.com with any questions you have about the show or about the giveaway. Thank you again for all your support, and now let's jump into the episode. Hey there, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the podcast. My name is Daniel Trinham, and I will be your host as always. Before we get started with today's episode, I want to let you know of a few things of note. First, you may or may not be aware that I host another podcast called The Third Seat. The Third Seat is unrelated to the podcast you are listening to right now, but if you'd like to check it out, then I will put a link in the description of today's episode that you can use to listen to it. If you like this podcast, then I really think you will like The Third Seat as well, so I highly recommend you check it out. Next, I want to let you know of a few ways you can support the podcast. First, be sure to tell a friend if you enjoy the show. Word of mouth is not only a great way to help support the show, but it's also zero cost. Secondly, if you enjoyed today's episode, then be sure to leave a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Leaving a positive review is one of the best ways of not only supporting the show, but it also gives me direct feedback from you regarding how you feel about the show overall. I greatly appreciate if you decide to take the time to support the show in any of these ways. Finally, if you'd like to follow me or the show on social media, then feel free to check out the description of today's episode. Here you will find all affiliated and mentioned links, as well as how you can support the show online. As always, I want to thank you for tuning into and supporting the show. It really means a lot to me, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode as much as I enjoyed making it for you. But first, I'd like to take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's episode, Lucky to Know You Apparel. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever loved your friend so much that you just want to squeeze them until they explode? Well, this local Chattanooga-based clothing brand wants to portray that feeling into a community that appreciates the people in their lives. Today's sponsor, Lucky to Know You Apparel, is using fashion and feelings to bring people together, making them ecstatically say, "Can you believe we happen to exist at the same time?" Check out their Instagram at Lucky to Know You Apparel and website www.luckytoknowyou.com to purchase your own apparel or gift one to a friend. Listeners of this podcast can use code FEELINLUCKY for 15% off your next order. Again, that is code FEELINLUCKY, spelled FEELINLUCKY at checkout for 15% off your next order. And hey, if no one has told you today, we are lucky to know you. All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. My name is Daniel Trinham. I will be your host for this episode as always, and I'm excited to bring you all another episode today with a guest of mine that was actually recommended to me by two people. They know who they are, but it was funny the way that I actually came across this individual. I hadn't met them before, and the way that I was recommended this person was just that they were someone in the Chattanooga area. They were doing a lot of really cool things online, specifically in the cooking, online cooking sphere, and I was immediately intrigued. And so I have the pleasure today of sitting across the table and speaking with Mr. Cornelius Lathan. So Cornelius, thank you for joining me today.
Man, thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure. So for those that may not be aware of you and kind of what you do and who you are, do you care to just share a little bit about your story and just what you're doing right now?
Of course. So I'm Cornelius Lathan, a local entrepreneur / caterer / private chef guy / YouTuber. So just a guy who pretty much a jack of all trades, pretty much.
So, and right now, I see you do a lot of things on social media, but how long have you been kind of doing what you're doing right now?
So when the pandemic hit in 2020, I felt, I was like everybody else getting furloughed from my job. So I had to figure out a way to still get my skill set out and be happy at the same time as live. So what I did was I invested in some equipment, and I began to dabble into the YouTube universe. And it was really cool because it still allowed me to be able to cook without having to cook for people. Because my biggest thing was I want to be able to cook for the whole world eventually. So YouTube has given me a platform where now, being monetized and having a somewhat kind of growing audience, I'm able to, do what I love to do at the same time as entertain people. And, it's just been really incredible.
Yeah. And before you started on YouTube, was cooking something like, was your job before you started this, was it something in the kind of restaurant food industry, or was this something that you just kind of decided to do just for the fun of it?
So I'm gonna give you kind of my story.
Give it to me. Hey, we got nothing but time, so go for it.
So in 2013, I went to culinary school, and when I went to culinary school, I had instructors that always said, if you're planning on going to Food Network, you might as well quit school now. But in my head, I was like, that's why I came to culinary school. I want to get to that point. That's the biggest point any culinary artist want to get to. So what I did was I suffered through my culinary journey. So I worked in all kinds of restaurants, and I name a few of them. But I've staged at like Easy Bistro, the St. John's. I actually worked at Roost Chris for like 3 years, the Fairyland Club. So I put in my time and my dues as a line cook, but I never made like chef status. So in my mind, I was like, eventually I want to go in business for myself. So I had to start crossing off them T's on my list. So one thing was, in order to be a caterer, you have to learn how to batch cook. So what I did was went to one of the Fortune 500 insurance companies here in Chattanooga, and I worked in their cafeteria. And I know that a lot of my chef friends looking at it like I was going backwards, but the whole time I had a vision. So I'm playing chess with my career. So I went to this company. We had over 1,000 employees that we had to cook for daily.
Wow.
But the thing with that was they're actually paying for their meal. So not all of them going to eat there, but you still have to prepare it in case they do eat there.
Yeah.
So I did that. And once I mastered that, Now it was time to get another skill set under my belt, and that was I want to do like fancy foods. So I ended up going to work at private schools like Boyd Buchanan and GPS. And at those schools, it was really awesome because we're doing some really upscale foods, cooking for like 900 people daily. Now you have to cook for because everybody got to eat there. So once I mastered that, it was time to start my own thing. But one thing I lacked that was customer service experience. And I had one of the clients told me, she was like, Cornelius, you cook really awesome, but your customer service skills suck. And that was like the biggest blow to me. So one day, me and my wife, we was together and we had went over to Best Buy actually. And as soon as I walked through the door, I had a customer service representative greet me, and I was like, whoa, I kind of like that. I was like, that's what I need. And so, he worked with me throughout the whole period. I ended up buying some stuff, but it planted a seed there that I was like, if I want to grow as a chef and as an entrepreneur, I need to have experience, customer service experience like that. So what happened was I ended up applying for a job at Best Buy, never had sales experience. And I'm applying for a full-time job in a company that rarely hire full-time associates. And I had an interview with the guy and the general manager, and he laughed in my interview. He's like, I can't believe that I'm about to hire you full-time in a position that you know nothing about. But I told
him, you're very trainable, though.
Right. And so I told him, I said, man, I give you a promise. I said, man, if you give me this opportunity, I promise you won't regret it. And so in 2 years at Best Buy, I did almost $4 million in sales in 2 years. I was the top guy in connected home throughout the Best Buy company. So with that, I got to experience things like go down to Orlando with the Top Gun program they had. And it was really great. But in those 4 years, I had to be in customers' face day to day. So no matter how I was feeling or whatever, I had to put on this mask and go out and get these people the customer service experience they was looking for. And once I mastered that, then that's when Riley and Company and the Bistro, that's how it was birthed, because now I'm like, I got everything that I need to go out and be great. And so, like I said earlier, my whole culinary career, I played chess, and now it's checkmate. So now I'm out here doing what I'm doing now.
I love it, man. And so specifically looking at your time at Best Buy, what did you? I mean, you mentioned kind of broadly customer service, but how were you able to translate that experience into what you're doing now? Because like you say, like everybody loves to be greeted and like loves to be treated nice, but like that means different things in different arenas and in different industries. So like, how did you translate that from your time at Best Buy to what you're doing now?
So here's the deal with customer service. Like everybody wants to feel welcome. And so being a chef, I was always in the back of the house. So I never got the experience working firsthand with customers. And, that was a big blow for me. That's why a lot of chefs never transition outside of the kitchen. But for me, I was able to meet these clients, and I got the mindset or the mind like an elephant. I actually wear an elephant around my neck because of that. So I got this great memory. And so what happened was I worked with a customer. No matter, we was not on commission, so I didn't need that sale to get paid. So if you came in looking to buy a SD card, I'm gonna give you that same customer service experience that if you was coming in to buy $30,000 worth of equipment. Because my mindset was, if you will buy a $10 SD card and I treat you very well, next time you're looking to make a big purchase, you're gonna come to me because there's no pressure. This guy helped me when I came to buy nothing. You know what I'm saying? So that's the mindset I had, and just giving people, like making them feel welcome, making them feel important, and how that translated to my business. Now I'm dealing with clients firsthand, and knowing them by first name when I see them. Hey, how you doing? Greeting them, just giving them that same service. Making them feel important. And I think that's important in this industry. It's important to be an entrepreneur, period, because you have to make the people feel welcome.
Yeah, and something that I definitely agree, and something that I think that lends well to, it's kind of the goal to that you want to achieve in regards to customer service is not just to like make someone feel welcome or just like treat them nice. Like, yeah, like generally speaking, whether you're a customer service representative or you work back of the house or wherever you're at in your job, like I would recommend treating people kindly with respect. Right. But the goal in my mind is to treat them, like you said, whether they're coming in for a big purchase or a small purchase, you want to treat them in the way that will encourage them to come back, because whatever business you're in, you're going to make your money off the people that come once and enjoy it and continue to come back.
Exactly.
You know, one of the kind of, I think, best examples of that is not the only time, but the main kind of experience I've had working with the public was before I started working in the job I was working in now. I worked at Target, and I worked there for probably 4 months. I've talked about it on the show before, but something that really struck me is that a lot of people not everybody, but a lot of people that came there, they came there for what they perceive, not because we had like the best products. I mean, we offered similar products to competitors, and it wasn't really anything that much different. It'd be different brands and stuff, but a lot of them came back because they felt like they got some kind of experience that they couldn't get elsewhere. Maybe it was a little bit nicer looking, or maybe they liked the music a little bit better, but like, it was the things that we tried to do on our end that made them feel like it was an experience they couldn't get elsewhere. And it doesn't, if someone comes in one time and spends $100, that's great. But if they never come back, you just got $100 out of that person. But if someone comes and they spend $15 and they come on a weekly basis and they come every single week, that's going to pay you a lot more dividends for both parties, because they're going to be satisfied every time and you're going to get a return that you wouldn't be able to get on the other person. And so I think that understanding can really be applied in a lot of different ways, because it's not about just striking the iron while it's hot one time. Mm-hmm. You want to try to translate that to multiple experiences over and over and over and over again. So in your case, yeah, you want to make good food, but you don't just want to make it in a way where people are like, oh, that was great, and then they forget about it. You want to make it where they yes, enjoy the food, but they remember you as well. Exactly. So that whenever it comes time for them to cater an event or have a meal or do whatever they want to do, you're going to be top of mind, and I think that principle, that was something that stuck to me a lot of times whenever I was in school, we were learning about these things. So, I think that's definitely important, and something that seems to be paying out well for you so far,
Right. And then you got to look at this too. Everybody got different taste buds. So I might be the best cook to somebody, but somebody else, I might be the worst cook. Mm-hmm. So, I have to brand myself in a way where, these guys are still coming to me because, I'm giving them not just food, I'm giving them great service as well. Mm-hmm. And you, as an entrepreneur, and I'm always go back to entrepreneur because I'm one, but you have to look at blueprints that's already there and laid out for you. And for instance, Chick-fil-A. Does Chick-fil-A have the best food in the world? Mm-hmm. No. But you go because it's consistent. Mm-hmm. It's always going to be fresh. It's going to be hot. And even it's so crazy when you so consistent like that and you make a mistake, it's big. Yeah. I went to Chick-fil-A once and they messed my order up one time out of so many times. And it was so big to me because I'm like, wow, this has never happened. Yeah. But, that's just the consistency they provide. So, they laid out the blueprint, and I'm just follow what they laid out.
Yeah. And, it's funny, the Chick-fil-A kind of conversation is funny because I don't know where you fall in this debate, and I'm sure some people listening are probably going to gasp in horror whenever I say this, but at least down here in the South, I've heard a lot of people have a very big, debate between Chick-fil-A and, there's other chicken chains, but the two that I've always heard the debate between is Chick-fil-A and Zaxby's. That's the one that I've always heard of. And I have always, like, from a food standpoint, I have always fallen on the Zaxby's side of the field. But I do acknowledge, like, Chick-fil-A, generally speaking, I haven't been to all of them, but generally speaking, like, that is their bread and butter. They don't, in my opinion, they don't make the best chicken. Like, their food is good, but it's just chicken. Like, it's just chicken and fries. It's kind of hard to mess it up, But they give you, like, there's a reason why people come back all the time, even considering the fact that they're not open one day of the week. Exactly. So whatever industry you're in, whatever position you're in, being able to apply that principle of, yes, selling a good product, like making something that you're proud of, but also showing whoever it is, showing them a good experience so that they will want to come back to you. I think that is very important. And so I think it's cool that you've been able to translate that into your business so far.
Oh, yeah. I'm like a sponge, man. Like I said, blueprints are already laid out for me. I don't have to recreate the field or try to figure out, it's already there. I'm going to follow it.
Yeah. Yeah, cool, man. So Something I did not know about you, kind of leading up to this, I try to do, the best I can, kind of some research and just kind of learn about each guest and understand a few things about them. But something I didn't know about you is that you went to culinary school. And that's something I'm really curious about, because so far on the show, at the time of this recording, I don't necessarily know how the episodes will shake out, but I've talked to two different people that work in the food industry. I've talked to, and both of them have had different experiences. One of them, they both work in the food industry, but one of them did go to culinary school and one of them didn't. And something that I find is interesting, like I've never worked in that industry, but I think it's interesting, is that whatever goal of yours that you have, it seems like in the food industry, there's multiple ways to get there. You can get there by going to culinary school. Like you can learn the kind of black and white of it. You can learn the ones and zeros and the technical knowledge of it. And some people, they kind of take a different route and they just learn through experience. Like they'll just find the nearest restaurant and say, hey, can I wash dishes for you? And they just learn their way through and don't really learn by rules, but more just by their experience. And that allows them to kind of get to the point they want to get to. And so obviously, I didn't know that you went to culinary school. I think it's really interesting. So just for you, do you care to speak a little bit about your experience in culinary school and how that has impacted where you are currently, if that makes sense?
So my experience with culinary school, it was terrible. It was terrible. Actually,
when did you go again?
2013.
Gotcha. Okay.
Actually, I always say this. I said that if I can go back and redo it, I probably would have just worked through the industry and made it that way. Here's the thing about culinary school, and if somebody listening and they like institutions, this is not against that at all, but just shedding a little light. So when you go to school to become an engineer, you take your prereqs, but when you graduate, you're an engineer.
Yeah.
When you go to school to be a chef, you graduate, you're not a chef.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you have to take a base job, and a base job in the restaurant is washing dishes, like $8 an hour.
Yeah.
Well, some of these culinary schools, man, they charging you $60,000 to $70,000 a year.
Yeah.
And you starting out at $8 an hour to wash dishes.
Newsflash, that does not cut it. that's tough to live on.
So, and it's like now you got this big debt on you. And the thing about the school debt's always interest being added on. So by the time you become a chef, and most executive chefs make about $60,000 a year. By the time you become a chef, it's like you're so far in the hole that you'll never get out of that debt.
Yeah.
And speaking from that standpoint, that's why I kind of preach against it, because a lot of kids go to culinary school because it's like the last resort. Like a lot of people get into cooking, it's like they can't figure out anything else. So like, let me just cook and they end up getting stuck in the industry.
Yeah.
So I try to talk to young kids early. I actually teach a class at CSA. It's called the CSAS Bistro. And I try to get in these guys' heads young. And like, if you want to make this a career, we live in a time of the internet where you don't have to necessarily go to culinary school to become a great chef. You can study and learn abroad. I mean, not just traveling outside of the country either. You can do it here locally.
Yeah.
But I always try to get people early, because debt is so hard to pay off when you're not making nothing.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of leaving the industry and becoming an entrepreneur. It was one point, man, where I was working 3 jobs and like struggling.
Yeah.
3 restaurant jobs too. That is so hard and backbreaking. But now I'm at the point now where, I work for myself, and man, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So for you, whenever you first started, when did you officially, you said it was in 2020 when you kind of officially started to take that leap of working for yourself. So, I mean, obviously there were a lot of things going on at that time period. But for you, what was your mindset like whenever you kind of took that first step off, kind of on your own journey? Because, I think in my mind, like I've never really started a business or like had many kind of financial endeavors in that sense. But I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, for a lot of people, myself included, like I have a day job, like I work it. And for a lot of people, like that is your security. Like it provides you your income. Yes. But there's a lot of things that come with that, whether you make a lot of money or don't make a lot, like any amount of stepping away from that kind of security and doing your own thing, like there's that can be a scary thing. So like, what was your mindset like at that time? And looking back now, almost 3 years, I guess, what time in 2020 did you start doing your own thing?
Probably early on.
Okay, I was about to say, so you might be 3 years removed from that. What's your mindset like now compared to then?
So COVID was terrible, but at the same time, I try to find something good out of everything. And once you get to the point where you depend on this job to make it, and then they call you in the office and be like, hey, we in the middle of a pandemic. There's nothing we can do. Like everything is still, and we're gonna have to furlough you. And at that point, I realized like even the best job security is not secure. So it was kind of like relieving for me, because it's like I can go out and attempt to start this company for myself, and if I fail, I can always go work another job. It's no problem. I can go apply for a job. They'll hire me in a heartbeat. But if I succeed, though, I can create jobs and give people the opportunity. So for me, it was not hard, because we was in the middle of a pandemic and everything was at a standstill. So it was either you gonna swim or sink. But my mindset now is I wish I would have did it sooner. And I did dabble with it a little bit, like in 2016, 2017. But I always had that job as a crutch. So even when I wasn't doing well in business as a part-time business owner, I always had that job. So I wouldn't actually pursue nothing really, because I'm like, well, I still make a paycheck from my job every week. So I wasn't as consistent as I should have been. And but when the pandemic hit, I had to be consistent. So it just trained me up more. So now everything I look at, I'm trying to think about how can I be better? How can I go forward and do better? But like I said, the only thing I would change, I probably would have did it sooner. But saying that, my mindset probably wouldn't have been where it was if it hadn't been for the pandemic. So I think that was the perfect time to start for me.
Yeah, and all of the negative, like obvious negative things about the pandemic in 2020 aside, something I think that from my perspective, and I know it's true in my own personal life because this is living proof of it, but something I think that happened for a lot of people was, to me, I think that there is so much benefit in, as silly as it sounds, in just trying new things. In whatever age range you're in, is trying to create something new. It doesn't even necessarily have to be like, oh, I'm going to reinvent. Like it doesn't even necessarily have to be like, I'm going to start a new business. It can be simply trying a new hobby that you're not, yet ready to try. Like you're not the best at it yet. There's so much benefit to doing things that, yes, you enjoy, but also trying new things and putting yourself in situations where you aren't the best one in the room at it. And I think that taught a lot of people that, for better or for worse, because like you said, suddenly we were all kind of in a weird position where some of us could work our jobs. Some of us, even if we were working our jobs, it wasn't exactly the way it used to be. Some of us weren't able to work our jobs. And so we had to fill our time with something. And so, as silly as it sounds, like one of the things that I did during the pandemic, I remember I was sitting at home and I was still in school and nothing was happening. And I was like, I'm going to learn some magic tricks. I was like, what else do I got to do? I was like, I got nothing but time. Like, what's am I going to do? And, obviously I'm not trying to be a magician or anything, but it was cool that experience opened me up to, there's still things like I can learn. Like I don't have to just wake up and do my job and then close off my learning window when I clock out at work. Like that's perfectly fine if you want to work a 9-to-5 job and do your thing. Like I work one and there's a lot of benefits to it. But for me personally, I try to keep that window of what else can I do? What else can I learn and experience? Not just confined to that window of time, to that window, because I think that there's a lot of benefit in doing things outside of that allows you to experience new parts of life. And to me, that's what it seems a lot like you. Like obviously you had worked in the food industry before, but you had never actually taken that leap where you're just on your own, doing your own thing and kind of experimenting in that way. And it seems to be working out well for you now, because not only are you working for yourself, but you're getting to do something that you love at the same time. So I think it's really cool. And that's something that I have tried to, as much as I can, employ in my own life, so yeah. And
let me share this too with you. So when the pandemic hit, we got furloughed, and I told you I started my YouTube channel. The YouTube channel was a creative outlet for me. I just thought I never edited videos before. I never shot my own videos, and I'm at the house having to teach myself how to use this equipment. So it was all new to me. And what I did was I filmed at least 6 months worth of content, because I upload one video a week before I even released my first video. Because I was like, I always read how to be successful on YouTube, you have to be consistent. So I was like, that'd be the only way I can be consistent if I have a bunch of material backfiled. So if ever I run into an issue where I can't record, I still got something that's going to come out.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until about a year and some change later where the YouTube channel got monetized. And I was hoping to get there, but it was one of them things that
wasn't necessarily the goal.
Right. Yeah. And it was one of the things I felt like I would never achieve, because it was just so much that you had to achieve to get there.
Yeah.
And so that actually, because after the furlough, I actually went back to work for a couple months, but getting monetized on YouTube actually helped me bring in some passive income. So even when catering not doing well, I'm still making money off of YouTube or Facebook or Instagram Reels. So that actually helped me. So that extra income allowed me to be free and eventually let the job go. But it was a big step though. I'm not gonna lie to you, especially when you got 3 mouths to feed at home. It's like, if I don't work, I don't eat, and also the biggest thing of becoming an entrepreneur, the biggest thing for me was, I was so used to getting a paycheck every week. Well, when you're an entrepreneur, you ain't getting paycheck every week. So, just realizing that you're not going to get a paycheck every week, but, sometimes you might get a check that's like 2-3 months worth of paychecks that you would have got working for the job, but you got to now take that and learn how to like balance that, for the last. So it's been really freeing,
Yeah. And something that I've been kind of talking this to death a little bit, but this is my podcast, so I can talk to whatever I want. I guess that's the point of this. But something that you just mentioned there reminded me of this is that, so something that I think that I've been trying to really focus on in my life is, yes, obviously doing things like, because you want to reach a goal, like, why do we work? It's like we want to, get a paycheck. Like we all need money in some form. We all need to keep the lights on and provide for ourselves and our loved ones. And like, yes, there is a reason behind doing something with a definite outcome in mind. Right. But I also think that there is a lot of benefit in simply doing something or creating something or whatever it is, doing it for the sake of doing it. Not necessarily doing it because like, oh, if I can just get to this point, then I'll be there. Right. Because I think a lot of times we as individuals, we like to do things because it's like, oh, if I could just make X amount of dollars, then I'll be happier. If I can just make this product, then I'll be recognized in my field as the expert and then I'll make it. Right. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think that, going back to the old saying of like, I think a lot of times the journey is a lot more important than the destination. Like, yes, for you, like, of course you want to be able to be to a point where the work that you do individually provides for you and your loved ones and you can do what you love. But if you only focus on the destination, if you only focus on where you want to be in the future and not where you are now, how are you ever going to appreciate the steps along the way? Right. For me, I've talked a lot about it a lot on the show, but in regards to this show, my main focus has not been like, oh, how many downloads am I getting? Or, oh, am I at a point yet where I can monetize it? Or like, oh, does anybody want to sponsor the show? Mm-hmm. For me, it's more just, I'm doing this because I really enjoy talking with people. Like I enjoy learning people's stories and having fun conversations with them. And so whatever comes from that, that's all just extra on the top for me, because the goal is not necessarily to, oh, I want to be to this point and have this many downloads. It's just to do it. Right. And that's that right now for me is so much more fulfilling than like, oh man, I just wish I could get to this point, because if I get to a point where I'm overly satisfied with the show, great. But regardless, it's still a success for me. And that like the success is in the doing. And so that's something I've really been focusing on. And I think that's really cool that your mindset isn't necessarily like, oh, I have to make this YouTube channel monetize. It's more just, no, I'm doing it because I want to do it. I want to have a creative outlet. I think that's really cool.
And that was my process behind it, because a lot of times what happened is, and this happened to me with YouTube, like I said, once it got monetized, I was happy about it. Like I said, it was something I never thought I would achieve. But the minute I got monetized, it started feeling like a job, and I kind of like hated doing it at that point. So I had to go back to the drawing board and realize why I started this channel, and it was an outlet for me, and that's how I had to look at it. So a lot of times when people start looking at numbers and stuff, like they get you sidetracked because it's not important, you know. And what's crazy is like I would have a video that'll go up, and I think it's the best video ever, and probably get like 90 views. And then like this happened to me on TikTok, and the video that I thought I'm just put this up because it's in my phone, I'll just put it up. It did 867,000 views. And I was like, whoa, you know. So it's just one of them things. Like, so I try not to look at the numbers, and I try to just let it grow organically. Because when it grow organically, I feel like that's where it just means a lot more. Like you said, it's about the journey. A lot of times I buy stuff and it wasn't me actually getting the thing. It was the process of getting it. Because when I get it, I'm like, I got it. Like it's dead now. You know. So it's about the journey.
And that for me has allowed me a lot of personally a lot of pressure to be lifted for me, because I'm in a very fortunate position right now where like I get to do this show, and its numerical or financial success is not dependent on whether I'm gonna eat, you know, or have like I have. If this show were to stop tomorrow, like I'm gonna be perfectly fine. So I'm in a position where this can just be a hobby and it can be something I enjoy doing. But even at that, like it's still hard to not be like, but how many downloads is it getting? Or like is this episode that I really thought was going to be like, is it performing the way I want it to? And yes, there's a time and a place. Like, I'm not saying never to look at the numbers or the financials of it all, but I think it's very important, whatever it is that you do, to keep that reason why you enjoy doing what you do at front of mind, you know? Because for you, if it just becomes about the numbers, it's like, well, what if, like you said, what if you make something you love and it doesn't perform the way you want to? It's like, are you going to stop? Is that, you know, what then? So that's something that's really been top of mind for me lately, and something I've really tried to focus on. So that's really cool to hear, man.
And my sister, I'm gonna say this too. My sister, she gets so mad at me. So she really like, and granted, like she's very smart. So I listen to a lot of her advice, and so she had me do these like TikTok videos, and I mean, it's beautiful because I do these videos and they go up like 25,000 views in like a week or something. But for me, I'm just like, man, that's not the type of videos I want to make. I got this channel because I wanted it to be my outlet. I didn't want to just go create or jump on trends that other people do. And I want to be able to be the one that's creating trends. So sometimes she asked me to do a video and I'm like, I'm not doing that. And I shut it down. But, you know, it's just one of them things like, I have to be, I want to be in charge of it. You know what I'm saying? And even like endorsements, I'm at the point now where I have companies reach out to me. And I always want to be honest though. I feel like that's when people lose your trust, then they're not gonna rock with you anymore. So like Pamper Chef reach out to me like, sorry.
You're good.
Pamper Chef reach out to me and they say, hey, we want you to do an endorsement on products or whatever. For me, I don't use their products. So I'm not going to let you pay me to endorse some things that I don't physically use and sell it to the people that trust me. You know, so it's been a lot of times where people come to me, want me to do endorsements, and I won't do it. So when you let money lead the way, you got to lead. And, you know what I'm saying?
And I think for you specifically, I think that mindset like will pay you dividends in my mind, because we live in an age now where there are people online for whatever you're interested in. Like there are people that have been able to build audiences and build platforms that people want to hear what people have to say in regards to like whatever your expertise is. There's food, there's video production. I mean, there's everything you can be interested in. There's somebody online to tell you what you should do or what, you know, give their thoughts on it. And those audiences, yes, are built on like the quality of the videos or the content they make, but it's also built on how they view you. You know, like if I'm a big fan of what you make and you say, hey, like I use this kind of machine to make this kind of, make this kind of dish.
Right.
For me, it's like, oh, this is what Cornelius uses. So like I try, like he obviously makes good food. Like, you know, I respect him and I think that he makes good stuff. So like if I'm ever looking for that thing, like that's the kind of version that I'm going to get.
Right.
But then if I get it and it just kind of falls apart like the next day and I hear other people be like, yeah, I got that same one and it fell apart. My view of you is now changed because it's like, are you just selling this thing out because they're paying you a paycheck or do you actually want
me?
Yeah. So yes, like you want to make your money and you want to do the things you want to do, but you also specifically in the kind of realm that you work in, like you have to have people's trust. They have to view you as a credible source aside from the things you make. Like you want to make good videos and good content, but they have to view you as a credible source as well, or else everything's going to kind of fall to the wayside, you know? Yeah. Something I do want to ask you about now that we're kind of on this video content topic. So there's another online, I do watch a lot of like food content. My fiance gives me a hard time because like I'm definitely one of those people that like likes to watch something while I'm like eating a meal. And for whatever reason, I will watch recipe videos. Like people make it, they're like, today I'm going to make this thing and I'm probably not going to make it, but it's just fun to see them like craft the thing. I don't know what it is, but that's just my thing. But there's this guy online, he makes a lot of different food content. And he made one video where it was like, recipes that I use whenever I do not feel like cooking. And it was basically like on a day whenever you wake up and you don't want to get out of bed, like these are the things that I do. And it wasn't like, it was very much like struggle meals. And so I thought it was interesting because like a lot of times you don't see that online. A lot of times like people are like, you know, they'll make quick meal, like they'll make 20-minute meals or they'll make like a very elegant meal, whatever it is. But this guy was like, no, like this is I don't want to get off the couch. I'm going to eat like a microwave potato for dinner. Like that's what this is about. And so for you, I want to know like, what are your I don't want to cook meals, but I have to cook meals. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah.
So,
because I've seen your work and you do so like I saw the video you made relatively recently. It was the like lamb chops video, and I was like, I've never made a little pyramid with my food before, but that looks pretty nice.
So it's interesting you say that because a lot of people who follow me or watch my content, even one of my chef buddies came to me and said, man, you cook every night, don't you? Man, that's far from the truth. I probably cook once a week at home because, you know, this is a job for me now. Mm-hmm. So I'm constantly cooking at work for catering. So when I get home, I'm kind of like burnt out. So a lot of my struggle meals will be top ramen.
Hey, listen, there's no shame in any of this. There's no shame.
Like top ramen. I love like sandwiches. Mm-hmm. So I might have some deli meat and make a sandwich. Now, sometimes I might make it like spice it up a little bit. So like if I make me a PB&J, I might toast it off. Yeah. You know, top ramen, I might soft boil me an egg and pop it in there, or you know, canned chili is one of my go-tos too, with some oyster crackers. But it's just one of them things, man. Dude,
I could eat oyster crackers out of the bag. I don't know what it is about those things. My coworkers have given me a hard time before because something about, I'm sure I'm not the only one, but like every version of like just a regular cracker is like I could legitimately just like eat them out of the bag. Like Ritz crackers, give me a sleeve of Ritz crackers, they're gonna be gone. Like
my daughter's like,
oh man,
they get a hold to it, it's a wrap, it's done.
And like even like saltines, like I don't know what it is. It's something
classic.
I know these are very like basic things, but I was telling my coworkers, they were like, what kind of snack do you like? And people were like, Cheez-Its. They were like, oh this, and I was like, I just kind of like Ritz crackers. And they were like, all right, here comes Papaw over here eating his box of crackers, you know. But I don't know, man, it's funny, but yeah, I think it's funny because a lot of times, especially like online content creators, like I think people have this idea that they're like always on, like even to a degree, like you said, like you cook all day, you come back, you're not like, man, I can't wait to keep cooking, you know. Like I don't do this full time. And even on like days where I have interviews, I'll go back to my apartment and be like, I don't really want to talk to anybody. Like, I feel like I've just like said every word I can say. Like, I love it, but I'm just like, man, you know, sometimes I'll get back and I'll be like, all right, I'm going to hang out for just a couple hours, and like somebody will give me a phone call and I'm like, God, I love you, but I don't want to talk to you right now. It's like, why did you have to call me right now? You know? So, I get it though. I think it's funny that happens, and just, you know, this idea that like even the best chefs aren't always just like whipping up the most fancy meals and the greatest things. Because you know, going back to that lamb chops video you made, I was watching. I was like, man, that's really cool. But I was like, I wonder if he like makes that all the time, or if that's like just this video occasion. You know,
just a video.
I love it.
But and a lot of times, man, with my schedule being so hectic now, as a creator, I don't know if this happens to you, but a lot of times I have the worst nights sleeping because I'll be thinking of content or something. And sometimes I get up and I have to jot it down. Yeah. And a lot of times I think of a video idea. Yeah. And if I got the ingredients in my kitchen, I lay there and I try to go back to sleep, but it'll be like, just get up. Yeah. And so a lot of my videos, man, honestly, I filmed them at like 2, 3 in the morning. Yeah. And people are like, what you do with all the food? Why you didn't call me? I said, man, if I would have called you, you'd sleep. So, and if I already eaten or, you know, my family sleep. Yeah. A lot of times, man, by the time you get to the end of the video, the food is cold. Yeah. You know, a lot of times some of it go in the trash. Yeah. Some of it. Yeah. Or my dog, me and him will sit right there and we'll enjoy it. But, you know, it just happens that way. And I hate that my mind won't let me sleep sometimes, but it's just like, you know, ideas are there. They're constantly coming. Yeah. Sometimes I wish there's a way I can like shut it down sometimes, but you know, it just happens.
Yeah, no, I definitely 100% resonate with that. Not that my sleep hasn't really suffered that much, but this was really like the first thing I've ever really, for the most part, like done that's entirely mine. Like, you know, this is just me. Like I do all the editing. I do the creation of like all the stuff on social media. I post it. Like I do all the reaching out to guests. Like I have an email and it's not like my name. It's like the radio, like the show name, but it's just me. It's just a separate Gmail account. And so like, you know, all of it is on me. And again, this isn't a business for me. So like if for whatever reason I wasn't able to bring out an episode, like things are going to be fine. Like it's not like, it's not like my world's going to come crashing down, but I'm at a point now where I really enjoy doing it and I'm making weekly episodes and having them come out and I'm in a good place. But there's still times where like I'll sit down and I'll be like, I try my best to have like, once I'm done, like shut it off. Like I'm not going to worry about it for a couple hours, like whatever. But still, it's like, I'll think about it, like, oh, I would love to have a conversation with this person. Or like, oh, like this person, like they've got such a cool story. I would love to read. Like, and then I'm starting to think like, okay, how can I find out about them? Like, do they have a contact page? Do they have like, do they follow me? Do I follow them? Like whatever. And suddenly you're just sitting there just like thinking about, like you're going down the rabbit hole of how can I make this happen? And sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. But for me, something that, as silly as it sounds, like, and you kind of alluded to it, something that has helped me a lot is in those moments is not just being like, oh, well, I'll deal with it tomorrow. Like, you know, I'm not saying I necessarily like reach out to the person right then and there, but I will at the very least like make a note on my phone, because what's happened a lot of times is I'll think, oh, I could talk to this person. They'd have such a good story. And I'll be like, oh, I'll sleep on it and I'll do it tomorrow. And then I'll wake up the next day and I'll have completely forgotten about whoever I was going to talk about or whatever I was going to do. And that's not top of mind anymore. And so for me, something that I try to do is whenever I have these moments where I'm excited about it and like I kind of feel the creative juices flowing, I'm like, okay, let me at least make a note about this so I can come back to it at a later point. I'm not going to forget about it, because the last thing you want is to be like, oh, like in your case, you don't want to be like, oh, I've got this great recipe in mind, I'll start it tomorrow. And then you wake up and you're like, what was I going to do? You
exactly.
know? Yeah. Because that's happened to me before. And I'm like, man, like, who was I going to talk to? And I mean, it takes me forever. Like I'm scrolling through Instagram, like, no, not this person, not this person, not this person. So it's such a funny thing. Like once you start doing something totally on your own, like how your attitude towards just the world around you changes generally. Again, this is not any kind of business at this point, you know, like I'm perfectly fine if this stopped tomorrow, I would still have an income, still have a job, be fine. But it's funny how when you create something for yourself, how your attitude towards it and the world around you changes, you know? Right. Yeah.
And one thing that I recently just had to do was, I had to train my clients, man. A lot of times, you entrepreneur, they have access to you 24/7. And that was big for me, because it's like, you know, I answered a call at 1 a.m. I was like, man, is that fair though? Yeah. And so I had to realize, like, you know, I have working hours, and then I have hours where I got to be there for my kids. So, you know, at a certain point, I stopped answering and, you know, let people know like, hey, at this time, man, I'm business. Yeah. business is off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's not fair for my little girls, man. I'm sitting here playing with them, playing Roblox with them, and somebody called my phone and want to talk to me for 30 minutes about, so I had to kind of train them to let them know, like, I have a life outside of that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. In regards to your work, so do you make a lot of your videos like in your home, like where you live?
I make 100% of them in my house.
So do you do like your catering and stuff out of your house, or do you have like a kitchen you go to and make that stuff at a different place?
So I was fortunate enough to I'm in this place called the Kitchen Incubator of Chattanooga.
Oh yeah.
It's powered by lunch.
Yeah.
And I was gonna get to the point where we talk about that as well today.
Yeah. Well, I want to hear about it. Yeah, for sure.
So it's a facility designed for entrepreneurs who's in the food service industry, and it's powered by lunch. So lunch actually helped entrepreneurs, with business starting, but they had noticed that it was a lot of people that was coming to them about wanting to jump in the food industry. So what better way than to have this 10,000 square feet kitchen with 3 different kitchens in there, place for storage, cooling, freezing section for all these chefs to work out of here, and it's a shared space. So that place right there has helped me so much, because not only am I a licensed caterer in Chattanooga, but I have my health permit. I get health inspected there, so I'm working in a clean facility. I'm actually able to turn that into a takeout restaurant when I want to do pop-ups. So it has been incredible. Like, if catering not going well, I can always supplement my income by doing a pop-up. It's just been such a help. And the guys there, Mark Holland, he's the director, man. He's so awesome, man. I seen this guy literally put his business on the back burner, because he's an entrepreneur and a business owner as well, to take care of us entrepreneurs. So, man, that's like my home.
Yeah. So I kind of learned about the incubator, I guess, kind of late. I don't know exactly when it started, but I'm sure there are other programs, in the world similar to incubator, but I found it really interesting that, at least to me, you can correct me if I'm wrong, like it seems to be this kind of like test lab of sorts of just ideas and specifically, regarding the food industry. But I thought that was really cool that, people could come in, and even if you don't have like a restaurant, or you're starting out at your house, like it would be very difficult, I would imagine, for you to like do catering and like batch orders outside of your house, because like you've just probably got your own stove and oven, and that's kind of it, So like, what is it like? Can just anybody walk in there and be like, hey, I want to do this thing, and then I want to start making, let's just say, like Cajun food. Like, I just want to walk in here and just start making it. Like, what does the process work like going at incubator?
So to become a member, you have to have like business license, of course.
Yeah.
But they do offer classes for people who start now, who don't know what they want to do, and they kind of guide them into what they can do, and you can eventually start your products there. But for me, I was actually, like I told you, I was catering before I got there, and I was working out of my house. Sometimes you got to start where you got to start.
Yeah. So, I agree. I agree, man.
So I remember I used to cook for this family, man, and it was like 60 people. And
that's a family of 60
people.
Is this like extended family or like a...
Yeah, it's like a extended family. So they had like
in my mind I'm thinking like, it's like me and my 57 brothers and sisters. I was like, golly, man.
So they get together like on Easter, like big holidays.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so I'm catering for them on a regular. And out of my house, it used to take me 3 days to do this. And it was like going about ice, like making sure everything is cool, because so much can go wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that really like taught me, like, man, I need a space. And then I found out about Kick, and the same family, I still cook for them, and it take me 2 hours.
Oh, really?
2 hours versus 3 days.
Nice.
So it's just one of them things, like, better, you do better. Mm-hmm. And I suggest if you think about bottled goods, mm-hmm. or catering, cooking, to give an incubator a shot, because like it'll change your life. Like
it's cool. Something you said that I think it's really cool, and I think the incubator is a really cool just concept that's been working out so far. And again, talking about things that I've been talking about to death, but something you mentioned there that has been very much my mindset, especially with this and just life in general. I think we live in a world, especially now, just due to the advent of the internet, it can be very easy to look at someone and, look at the success that they're having and think like, wow, like they've reached this point. Like, how am I ever going to get there? Like, especially you look at people online, it's like they'll have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of followers. And it seems like they've just always been that way. And for me, it's like, how did they at some point they didn't have that. Like, how did they get to that point?
Right.
And I think a lot of times it can be kind of discouraging, as silly as that sounds, because it's like, man, I can't compete with these people. Like, what am I supposed to do? But something you said to the fact of wherever you are, like whether you're starting with nothing or you're starting with something, is starting wherever it is that you can start. And I think that is such a, in my opinion, such a foundational principle for success. Whatever it is that you do and however you define success, even if it's just, if you want to run a marathon, even if it's just taking one step, taking that first step is going to be farther than you've been so far. It may not be, you may not be sprinting like everybody else, but you're taking that first step. And I think that's such, applying that in whatever it is that you do. Like for me, I've said with this show, like, again, there are much bigger podcasts out in the world. Like, I am not the biggest, host in the world, but for me, as small as it was, simply just buying a set of 2 microphones was like what I could do at the beginning, because I had the money for it. And I was like, if I can invest in this, I'm invested in it now. Like, I'm starting it and I'm doing it. So, and it was a very small step, but it allowed me to get to the point where I can do it now, and I can take this anywhere I need to take it, and I can set it up and do it. And now I'm in a point now where, again, it's not some major setup, but it's a lot farther than I was before I had started anything. Right. And so I just think that attitude is such an important thing and can be applied in so many different ways across all different spectrums. So I think that's really cool that you were able to start that whenever you first started out.
Oh yeah, and I'm big at giving my life story, man. Like, I started from literally nowhere. I shared this a couple times before, but so I honestly didn't learn how to read until I was in the 9th grade. I was like 13 going on 14.
Wow.
And the only reason it happened because I was going to the school called Howard.
Yeah.
And oh man, it wasn't a bad place, but where I come from, it's kind of bad. And I had really looked in the mirror and told myself, I was like, man, if I have to stay here through my whole high school year, I'm not gonna graduate. Yeah. And I was just like, man, I got to figure something out. So I found out about this school called Center for Creative Arts. Yeah. And it's a performing arts high school. And I was just like, man, I got to get in there. Mm-hmm. And so my cousin had a girlfriend, and both of them with her. And he did like drawing. I couldn't draw. So I was like, I need to figure something out. And she was a poet. And she was like telling me her poetry, and I couldn't read or write, but I always had like, kind of like a poetic kind of, because I grew up listening to like rap music. So I felt like in that area I was kind of creative. So what I did was, we had this program at home. It was called Hooked on Phonics, and I started going through this thing, like just teaching myself. And then I started writing little poems and stuff. And for the audition, I had to have so many poems, couple short stories, essays, and it was probably terribly written. I hope nobody still have this stuff. But so I got my mom, and I told her, I said, I want to go audition. So I went to the audition scared as all get out. And I brought a portfolio of things that they asked for. And then when we was there, we had to actually write off some topics they gave us. And I remember after it was over with, I was like, man, I'm not getting in there. So it was crazy. And the last day of school, I was at my buddy's house, and I called my mom to let her know, like, I was at my buddy's house because the street lights had begun to come on. And she was like, come home, I want you to see something. And I went home, and I had acceptance letter saying I got in. And at that moment, man, my life kind of changed for the best. So I went to a place where, at first I couldn't see past Chattanooga, because the people who I was going to school with at Howard, they never like really left the city. Or if they did, it went to like MTSU or something. Mm. But going to CCI, I see people go off to Paris, California, New York. I'm seeing people who, getting to dance with celebrities and stuff, and it just opened my mindset, and the world became so much bigger to me. And I give that place a lot of credit, because if it had not been for that place, I don't know where I would have been, you know. So those are some humble beginnings, but it was like night and day. I left one place and then went to another place, and it's like the world just became bigger, and I realized that I'm capable and I can do a lot more things than I thought I could.
Wow, that was I did not know that. Thank you for sharing that. That is awesome. That's such a, to me, like, man, wow, thank you for sharing that. That is awesome. I mean, that first off, for one thing, like, for, you know, by your own testament, for someone that apparently could not, did you say just read or read and write? Or
I could write a little bit, but I couldn't read. Like, it was terrible.
Well, that's crazy to me, because I mean, not that you're like writing right now or reading anything, but like, I wouldn't know it. Like, you are an extremely well-spoken individual, and like you like, that's just awesome. That's so cool to me. But man, like, that like what you just talked about right there, like, that is the reason why I do that. Like, that's so cool to hear. Like, it's, to me, stories like that. And again, like, you obviously still have, I imagine you have much bigger dreams than just what you're doing right now. But like, seeing the in my mind, the runway you have in front of you right now compared to what you just told me of where you came from and what you like what you're doing now, like, that's so cool to see someone come from where they came from very humble beginnings, and now, like, look at where you are now. I think that's so cool. So thank you for sharing that, man. That's awesome.
No problem. And you know, like I told you, I got I remember things. So when I was in the 8th grade, man, it was a guy. His name was, and I'm gonna say his name. His name was Quan Buchanan, and I remember I think he was from California, and he said he was from like Orange County or something. Mm-hmm. And I remember we was writing something. I forget what we was writing, but I was trying to write it out. And he was like Orange County, and I remember I couldn't even spell orange, and I was just like, oh my gosh, you know. And I think about things like that now, because it's like I always want to be better than I was. Yeah. And any little kid who I see and that resembles a little bit of me, you know, I try to let them know, like, this is not the end all be all. You know, you got an opportunity to change. You got an opportunity to recreate yourself and do better things. Like, you know, everybody's not, when it comes to like education, everybody's not gonna do well. Mm-hmm. I mean, some people are just creators, you know, and I had to learn that for myself. Like, is it Einstein who said if you judge a fish by its ability to ride a bike, it'll go through life thinking it was stupid. And that always stuck out to me, because it's like, it was certain things that I wasn't good at. Not saying I couldn't do, I just wasn't good at. And now I'm at the point now where it's like I'm living the best life I could possibly be living. But knowing where I came from, it give me chills sometimes, because I'm like, man, I didn't think it would. Like my YouTube channel, I didn't think I would be at this point. You know, I heard from my 3rd grade reading level, it was probably prisons being built. But thank God I never went to one. So, you know, it's just one of them things. Like, you know, I feel like with my life, I've grown a lot, and I've matured, and you know, just because I was dealt a certain hand, I just learned how to play it well.
I love it, man. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, that genuinely, like, that just put a smile on my face, and that was just the best thing to hear. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, man.
That was awesome, man. Well, honestly, I mean, that was, we are nearing the hour mark. I cannot think of a better way to cap off everything. So thank you for sharing that. That was awesome. Let me just be the first to say, I've obviously just kind of recently learned about you and your story, but I love what you're doing. I think that anybody that is willing to take a bet on themselves in whatever way, I'm always trying to cheer them on. So keep it up, man. And I think you're doing great. And it's obviously seems to be working out for you. So just keep it up, keep doing great things. And I'm excited to see where you go from here, man.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah. Before we finish, I know I just said we were about to finish, but there is one thing I want to do. So with each guest I like to have on, I like to have an ending segment, just a little bit different than everything we've done before. But I like to end with a little segment I like to call 15 Quick Questions. And so if you don't mind, I would like to just play this little segment with you. It's 15 quick questions. There'll be this or that question. So it'll be A or B, hot or cold, this or that, you know. So I just want to hear off the top of your head, your thoughts and hear what you have to say. So sound good to you?
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. This is 15 quick questions. And I've done this with the two other people that I do that work in the food industry, and so I made most of them food related, just because this is your realm, and so I want to hear what you think. So this is 15 quick questions with Cornelius. So question number 1. Hot coffee or iced coffee? You can substitute tea or whatever beverage of choice you can in there if you like.
Iced coffee.
Iced coffee. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yes.
Oh, I love pineapple on pizza. Have you ever I've seen pictures of like pizzas with other fruits. Have you ever had other fruits on pizza? I never have.
No, but I thought pineapple on pizza was disgusting for my whole life until I actually tried it.
I'm telling you, man.
Whoa.
I'm a huge pineapple fan, and I've always loved pineapple on pizza. So that's a hill that I'm willing to die on. So, all right, number 3. Does ranch belong on spaghetti? Yes or no?
Yes. Ranch belongs
Thank
on
you.
everything.
Thank you. I have listen. Everyone who is listening to this that knows this, I have said so many times, ranch. Whether you don't have to like it, but ranch is justifiable on spaghetti. It is so good.
Right.
It's great with it, man. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. All right, pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
I'm a big waffles guy. I like the texture on them. Pancakes are good though. Which do you prefer, French fries or tater tots?
French fries.
French fries are good. Would you rather eat cookie dough or brownie batter?
Brownie batter.
But I'm a big. That's a tough one for me, but I enjoy brownie as well. Which do you prefer, Italian food or Mexican food? Mexican food is. I'm on a big Mexican kick right now. So I agree. I mean, I've been on a big Mexican kick for how old am I? 22. So going on 22 years. All right. What's better on a hot day, ice cream or popsicles?
That's a good one. Sorbet.
I love it. All right. Which do you prefer, guacamole or salsa?
Honestly, I would have said salsa, but it's a place here called Nothing But Guac, and they have the best guacamole. I never eaten guacamole until
Here in
Beverly
town?
Hills. Yeah.
Where's it at?
It's located off of Lee Highway. It is.
I have to try. I wasn't aware of this.
Yeah,
I'm going to
but
try this place out now.
He got this guacamole called Southside, and it got diced jalapenos in there. Oh my goodness! I never liked guacamole until I had his.
Really?
I'm the biggest guacamole fan now.
So what's it called again?
Nothing But Guac.
Awesome. I'm gonna have to try that out. I'm definitely gonna try. I have not been aware of this, so I'm gonna definitely try it out. All right. Which do you prefer, crunchy peanut butter or creamy peanut butter?
I used to prefer crunchy. Now it's creamy.
I have been. I mean, I love both of them. I've been a huge. I've always been a crunchy fan. I don't know what it is, but I've always been a big crunchy fan. All right. Whenever you're cooking, do you prefer like more appliances, more like things that can do things for you, or do you like to kind of do it more traditional and kind of do it all yourself, like just you and a knife and a cutting board? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because I mean, you can get an appliance for like everything nowadays.
I prefer doing it myself, but I got carpal tunnel now.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so now I'm actually depending on the appliances to help me out.
Yeah, I got you. All right, spicy food or mild food?
Oh man, I would have said spicy, but now I'm getting older, so I'm going more toward mild now. But I really love spice, like I really love a hot. Mm-hmm. But now getting older, it doesn't like me.
See, it's funny. I did not grow up eating. I don't know if you grew up eating spicy food. I didn't grow up eating very spicy food much of my life. And as I've gotten older, I mean, I'm not that old, but as I've gotten older, I have become more like I like spicier food.
Right,
I don't know what it is, like for whatever reason. I mean, I still like food that's not spicy.
That was me.
Yeah.
And now it's like the spicy don't like me no more.
I love it. All right, the last 3 questions. Would you rather go vegan or carnivore?
Vegan.
Vegan, nice. I think I would too. I mean, I like meat, but you're kind of, in my mind, like you're kind of just restricting yourself. Like there's only so much you can do in my mind, So, all right, last 3 questions. Sweet or savory? Which do you prefer?
Mixed.
Mixed? Okay, how about this? If I had a bowl of, you like ice cream?
Yes.
Ice cream, and let's say, I don't know, like there's lots of different savory dishes in my mind. If I had a bowl of whatever you prefer at this moment, which would you say?
Salted caramel on ice cream.
Oh, nice.
When I eat grits, I put sugar in there and I put gravy on
Really?
there. Yeah, so I mix them together.
You like a mix?
Yeah.
I like it. All right. And then final question. I like to change up the questions for everybody, but this final question I ask of everybody. So I want to hear your answer and kind of your thought process. Would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or 1 horse-sized duck? So you got one really big duck or 100 tiny horses? Which would you rather fight, and why? What's your thinking here?
I'd rather fight the one.
The one? Okay, so what's your thinking here?
I feel like I get overpowered by the little ones. They'll run all around.
Yeah.
It too much I can't focus on all of them.
Yeah. I like it. That's funny. All right. Well, that's all I got for you. So thank you for playing along. I appreciate it. Before we finish, I know you're on all the different social media accounts. So I'll make sure you're on Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. So I'll put that in the description. Do you have any other links or any different ways people can find you online or anything you'd like to mention?
Going forward, we're starting a new show with News Channel 12. I don't know the name of the show, but I actually started taping tomorrow.
Well, congratulations.
By the time this come out, it's already been taped.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're starting shooting 6 episodes tomorrow with Chip Chapman. So that's pretty cool. And it's a partnership with the Kick Incubator and News Channel 12 just to spotlight entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Also, what else do we have going on? We're going to start uploading more video content to YouTube. So we do once a week now, every Thursday at 7 p.m. But I figure by the spring or summer, we're going to actually add another time slot on to do 2 a week. So
nice. I like it. Well, I'll make sure, obviously, your social media accounts, I'll make sure those are linked down below and along with YouTube and everything. So if you're listening, you want to check out Cornelius, I'll have all those links down there. And if by the time this gets uploaded, if the show you're done with, what news channel did you say it was?
News Channel 12.
Gotcha. If that's up, then I'll make sure that's linked down below. But if it's not down below, then just be on the lookout for it. So one more thing.
I got one more thing.
Sorry about this. No, you're good.
Every first and third Friday at the Kitchen Incubator, we have this thing called Food Truck Friday, where we have so many entrepreneurs out. You probably go out there, it's like 25 food trucks, honestly, from 11 to 3. So every first and third Friday, we're out there. So if you want to try some of my delicious foods, come out there, my drinks. We're out there from 11 to 3 every first and third Friday. And not only me, but a bunch of entrepreneurs. And we have sometime US 101 out. We have Grew 93 out. So, and tons of news stations out as well. So, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's at Incubator?
Yes.
Awesome, cool. If you're not aware, it's a place in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So if you're in the area, then definitely go check them out. That'd be awesome. I'll have a link for their website down below as well. So if you want to check it out, that is down there as well. So, with all that said, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for chatting with me. It's been an absolute pleasure, man.
Awesome.
And for everybody out there, thank you for listening to this episode. As always, I appreciate your support and just for listening to the show. As I mentioned, if you'd like to check out any of the links we mentioned, those will be down below in the description. And if you'd like to contact me, that will be down in the link in the description as well. So thank you again, Cornelius. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for everybody listening, and I'll catch you all on another episode of the podcast. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for tuning into this episode of the podcast. As one final reminder, if you'd like to support the show, then don't forget to rate and review the show wherever you get your podcast, or share it with a friend. If you'd like to check out any links that were mentioned during the show, or follow the show or myself on social media, then feel free to head to the description of today's episode to find these links. As always, thank you again for checking out today's episode, and I really hope you enjoyed it. I will catch you all on the next episode of the podcast. See ya!